During law school, I was broke and bartending at nights just to make a few dollars and had to get creative with my money to make it last. I remember we had a Facebook group at Georgetown called something along the lines of free food. And whenever there was an event on campus that provided food, if there were leftovers, then someone would post the location in that group. And we'd all shamelessly run over to grab the leftover Chipotle without having to listen to the dry presentation on the latest tax law changes. Fast forward a few years, I'm now a lawyer with a good job, and not only do I pay full price for Chipotle, but I also pay extra to add on the guac, which broke law student me would have never done in a million years. That is called lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation, upping your lifestyle to match your income. And there's nothing fundamentally wrong with enjoying those little extra luxuries like the add-on guac, but it's something you want to be aware of because if you get too sucked into this lifestyle inflation, it could set back important future milestones like paying for a wedding, buying a house, or funding retirement. Now, the guac probably won't set you back that far, but when you start upgrading to nicer clothing and cars and homes, whether it's to reward yourself for the latest raise or to keep up with or impress your friends and coworkers, that's when it can really start to set you back and perhaps trap you in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. So how do we avoid that? I want to give you 8 tips to avoid lifestyle inflation, and welcome back. I'm Erica Kohlberg, and I'm here every Wednesday with a new video, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button below if you're ready to master your money. Now, the first tip we need to talk about is celebrating small. If you earn a raise, you should absolutely celebrate, especially if it's higher than the average 2.9%. But to outsmart lifestyle creep, you may want to take a deep breath and resist the urge to run to the store for the most expensive thing that you've had your eye on. Instead, consider a small way to congratulate yourself, like a movie night at home with your favorite takeout. Tip number 2, create a budget. A great way to avoid lifestyle creep can be to give all income a job. If you get a raise and are making an extra $200 a month, you want that extra $200 a month to have a specific job instead of just sitting in your checking account with no purpose, which might lead to impulse spending. So to give that money a job, you can watch this video here where I talk about budgeting for your financial goals. Number 3, pay with cash. Again, if there is unexpected extra money sitting in the bank account, you might be more likely to spend it mindlessly without really thinking about it. That's why it's so important to have a place for every dollar. An easy way to do this might be to use cash, since I know at least for me, I'm less likely to indulge in mindless spending when I'm using a cash versus credit card where I can't physically see the money. A report revealed that I'm not alone. According to a 2019 study, consumers are willing to spend up to 83% more using a credit card than they would with cash. And that actually leads me to my next tip, which is to avoid new debt. If you have credit card debt, you want to focus on paying off the existing debt and not racking up any additional debt. Tip number 5 is to track your spending. This is something I did to avoid lifestyle inflation when I graduated from law school and set out to pay over $200,000 of loans. I tracked where every single dollar went. That way I didn't have to ask myself, where did that money go? SoFi Relay, for example, lets you see all of your accounts in one place to help you categorize and track your spending, set goals, and look for ways to streamline. It can also serve as the central hub for automatic payments to your bills, savings, and investment accounts. Tip number 6, and this is something you might be able to implement right away, is to automate as many payments and contributions as possible. After all, money you don't have is a lot easier to not spend. For example, if you get a raise at work, you might elect to increase your 401k contribution or start one if you haven't yet. And while it means that your take-home pay may not change, your contribution to your retirement account can painlessly grow. Same thing with automating investment contributions and bill payments. The idea is to get the money out of your tempted hands. Tip number 7 is to be intentional about the people you're surrounding yourself with. Peer pressure is powerful, and if you're surrounded by people who are buying fancy cars and houses and going out to expensive restaurants and are concerned about using money as a tool to influence how people perceive them, maybe it's time to reassess your friend group so that you don't fall into that same trap of keeping up with the Joneses. Maybe find people who share the same financial goals as you. Tip number 8 is to catch lifestyle inflation early on before you get in too deep. I personally feel like the further you've allowed yourself to fall into this luxury lifestyle, the harder it can be to pull yourself out. When people ask me how I paid off my $200,000 of student loans, one of the first things I say is that even once I graduated, I never allowed myself to think that I wasn't still a broke law student. So those are the 8 tips that I have for you. If you want to learn more about how I paid off my student loans, I'll see you next up in this video. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.